Hey guys, welcome to KDLounge. Thanks for joining us. We have Matt and Sergio from Lago Finance. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Great. Good morning. Thanks for having us here.
We'll be talking a little bit about your project today, but before we go there, I wanted you to give me a little bit of a background, both of you guys, how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna go first, Matt.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Yeah, so I got into crypto in 2015. I was very interested in Ethereum. I thought the idea of a decentralized world computer was such a phenomenal, crazy thing that just seemed like so impactful to me as a person. I had always been interested in computer science and some of these other things, and I really saw how something like that could change the world. So I decided to get into crypto at that time. I was still in college. I went through college and then I went into my master's program. And from that point, I decided that I didn't think that I wanted to go into finance. It had been my passion up to that point, but I really saw the future as crypto. So I decided to drop out of my master's program and start my first crypto company. It was an algorithmic trading platform. And it had two parts. Had a retail side of like 24/7 algo trading, also data tooling, that kind of stuff, but it was supposed to be as easy to use as possible. The other side was an institutional, also like more like a big data for hedge funds, for anyone who wanted that extra data and that extra edge that they could get in the market. We launched around the end of 2017 though, which was not the best time to be launching. So we had a lot of issues getting traction. So I ended up going back into finance. I worked at an FX desk for about a year and a half. It was a really good experience though, because I realized just how archaic the old traditional financial system was. This was something that was kind of a major point to me, of like a decision-making point, because not only had I seen the future in Ethereum, but then I had realized, oh wow, and also these old systems are very archaic and broken. So then I decided to go back into crypto startups, and I've been there ever since. And yeah, now starting my own for the second time, and very excited for it.
And what about you, Sergio?
To make a long story short, I've been doing Web 1 entrepreneurship in Italy. I also dropped out of college. It was very interesting to study electronic engineering, but also it was more interesting to build companies and products and have teams of people working for a goal. So I'm more of a social person than it looks like sometimes, and studying alone on a physics books was interesting technically, theoretically, but also not very applicable in the short term.
It gets old fast, right?
No, I think that what really disappointed me was the time to market, right? Like the applicability of what you're studying and how quickly you can bring it to leverage it to build something. And I'm not the type of person that sits 5, 6, 7 years on a theoretical knowledge and notions before
doing research papers, right?
Yeah, I mean, even then, just studying all the material, it was interesting material, but I wouldn't see how it would apply tomorrow. And so I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do with this? How am I gonna use this knowledge about doping silicon layers to build transistors tomorrow? And the point is that you really only use it if you choose a career path that then brings you to do something very specialized. And otherwise, you've learned how to solve problems, you've learned a lot of interesting technical stuff, but it's 80-90% is a waste of your brain space, could have been used for something else. So of course it was the time that was early 2000. So the internet was already quite a resource to get what you want and the information you need for today, for what you want to do today. Right? You can read up, use the knowledge, and do the thing. And so I was way more attracted to that life strategy. So I started a company doing Web 1 stuff, anything from voice over IP, data center activities, and it was fun playing around with servers and racks in Italy. And then I sold the company and moved to Asia for about 10-15 years. That was also very interesting. I did Web 2 stuff. I was based out of Hong Kong, and I sold out that company as well. I was in Africa for a little while, and then finally I settled in the US 6-7 years ago. And and that coincided with my career switch to crypto. Again, always entrepreneurial, always doing things like angel investment or trying to start my own projects. And I initially got interested because of Bitcoin and the principles behind it. And a friend of mine just sent me 0.1 Bitcoin, I still remember, in 2013 or 14. And from there, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I don't have a bank anymore. And then I started looking into the cryptography of it. So I've been very inspired by what you can do with asymmetric cryptography. And I think this is something that people need to understand a bit better, because there's not going to be mass adoption of crypto if we don't teach at school what a key pair is and how to use private and public keys, what a curve is, what a signature is, and how to handle it, and how to keep your keys safe, what a hardware key is. If people don't know that, there's no way that the crypto can make a difference in a way we want. Now, of course, there's another aspect of crypto, which is the infrastructure and providing the rails for more efficient financial systems, and that's somewhat happening already. We're seeing with stablecoins and other interesting aspects of money moving. But really, the grassroots scenario where people have their own identity, their own reputation, their own assets, and depend less on third parties and intermediary, is only possible if there's a leap in the education level.
I agree with you.
Yeah, sorry, a digression. And yeah, I started doing a lot of things, and again, working very closely to decentralized identity projects and hardware security modules companies, and pretty much the whole span of cryptography from silicon to central banks. And finally, a few months ago, I decided that it was again time to go back to my roots and build firsthand. So I got together with Matt. We live nearby, so it's easy for us to just gather around the fireplace and open a few beers and flush out a few ideas. And that's exactly what happened. The ideas were mostly around capital efficiency. And it was just at the end of the bull market. It was already actually dropping a little bit crypto market wise. And so we were trying to understand what worked during the bull market, what would not work thereafter, and what the world needs, what is more introducing more capital efficiency. And so we honed in on the current project, and we called it Lago Finance because we were sitting in front of a lake. And so Lago means lake in Italian.
In Portuguese as well.
That's not the reason. Yeah, most Latin languages. No, I was kidding. That's not the reason. The reason is that lakes are where liquidity aggregates in a normal orographic landscape, like hills and mountains, and all the liquidity pulls down in a lake, and therefore it's the most efficient way to gather liquidity, following a path of least resistance.
Okay, makes sense. Actually, I didn't know where the Lago name came from. Now I do. Thanks for that. So what I didn't catch from that is how did you two know each other from before this, and how did you? I know you live nearby, but I guess you had a little bit more in common than that. And if you can expand on that, how big is now your team since you two started this enterprise?
Yeah, we met at a prior startup. So we had been working together. He was the first investor at this. It was a crypto company called Nodal. It was a great experience for me. I was actually working as an analyst there, and we really started to connect well, because I realized that he knew quite a bit more than a lot of the other people that we were working with, and we really connected in that way on the crypto front, because it's kind of hard even among crypto people when you're a crypto nerd. Sometimes you're out on the outskirts a little bit. You want to talk about the really deep fundamental stuff, and everybody else like, why are you wanting to talk about this? So we always kind of connected in that way. And then from that point, we just decided to go ahead and go out on our own. But yeah, as far as our team, we're currently hiring, trying to expand. We've got about 6 people right now, and we're hoping to grow it to probably 10 or 15 within the next year. And then further out from there as we need more people. So we're currently hiring. So if anybody wants to join our team and try to build the future of DeFi, you should jump on our website and send your resume in. There's my plug.
Awesome. We'll add links to your website on the description for sure. So guys, if you want to join the future of crypto and finance, go ahead and visit Lago website. So for anyone who doesn't know yet, you guys are building a bridge. I mean, you already built it because we can see it on the testnet actually, and you'll be soon bringing it to the mainnet of Kadena. So how will the Ethereum bridge work? Because I know there's a couple of different ways that you can build a bridge. How will your bridge work? And is it limited to Ethereum, or will we eventually be able to extend it to any EVM chain or perhaps even other kinds of blockchains?
Yeah, so a lot of questions. First of all, if you're a careful observer and you look at the Lago namespace on Kadena, you may already see some contracts there. So we're already testing on mainnet as well, and so it's really a matter of days before we're going to open it to the public. And we're very excited, but we also want to make sure that everyone using it has a great experience. And there's a lot of moving parts in Web3, so every single part has to behave as expected, which is the real challenge. So the Lago bridge is a mint burn bridge, which means that for every asset that is deposited on the other network, the other blockchain, an equal asset is minted live on Kadena. It's potentially bidirectional, so sometimes I use the word wrapping. It's a little more technical, but what really happens is that you wrap, so you keep on hold in a vault an asset on the other blockchain, and you mint an equivalent on Kadena. We can also do the opposite eventually, possibly locking and wrapping assets on Kadena and issuing them on other blockchains. It's a EVM bridge, so far it supports EVM networks, and we're clearly starting from Ethereum, mostly because that's where most of the assets are, and so it's just a very easy liquidity choice there. Since we pride ourselves of having a liquidity-related name, we also want to live by that standard. So we're starting with USDC, which is probably the most easy to understand asset and the one that will bring the most benefit in Kadena blockchain, being stable, being pegged to the US dollar, being reputable, and well known already.
So from the start, we'll be able to rep USDC, not only Ethereum?
We'll start actually, we changed our mind. We wanted to start from ETH, but we'll start from USDC instead.
Oh,
and
just USDC?
Initially, yeah. And then soon after, we will open other ERC20 tokens and ETH.
Oh, okay, that's news, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, nice to know. And so just to conclude what I was asking, if in the future we were looking for like a Solana bridge, let's say, do you think you guys will be going that route, or do you prefer to just remain on the EVM side of things? Do you think there's any value to bringing other blockchains to the conversation?
There's probably some value, but for right now, we would rather focus on our other products like the stablecoin, I think. I think EVM bridges make more sense right now from a tech debt standpoint. I mean, we don't want to get too deep into trying to have too many products and servicing them. We'd rather focus on our main core offerings. And yeah, if we want to expand out to other EVM bridges, that would be a much simpler lateral move than trying to go into Solana, where, there's also a lot of issues right now with them with uptime. So, that adds a lot of technical challenges and complications for running a bridge that we probably don't want to have to be focusing on while trying to build a stablecoin.
Yeah, you're right. No, I mentioned Solana because it was the first one that came to my head, but actually, I hope you don't start there. So, you mentioned you are Lago Lake, so liquidity. Do you plan to bring in any liquidity yourselves, or do you expect everything to be provided by either the users or the project themselves?
What do you mean by adding liquidity ourselves?
On DEXs or on
opening my wallet and putting. We're not market makers, so we definitely do not deploy our capital for market making. It's not our expertise. It's not our core competence, and it's not the best use of capital for us to deploy it for liquidity. Yeah. There's market makers that do that as their primary job, and we may or may not engage with them in the future to work.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question. If you were thinking of engaging with market makers, since of course you're not going to be deploying all your liquidity yourselves to the exchanges, it makes more sense if you talk to market makers to do it. Yeah.
We'll see. We haven't really made a decision at this point. The fact is that the market is really at a historical low now, so a lot of market makers are changing their strategies. It's not an easy moment to play the 2021 book. Some companies don't exist anymore from then, and the biggest market makers were proven to work in a very specific way, which may not reflect our core principles. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, I understand. It's a good time to build, not the best time to deploy and expect liquidity to come pouring in, so to speak. But it will eventually go up again, I'm sure.
Yeah, also it's worth noting that we're not charging users to use the bridge. Mm-hmm. I mean, users will pay their gas fees on Ethereum. We're subsidizing the ones on Kadena because they're really small anyway. But our goal for the bridge is not to milk it and really monetize the activity. It's just to allow a free flow of liquidity, which will greatly help our upcoming bigger product, the stablecoin. So that's where our focus is, and for us the bridge is a means to an end. It's not an ultimate goal.
Okay, so let's talk about the stablecoin then. Well, there's been a lot of talk about stablecoins, as you probably know. I'm sure you know. UST was a big letdown for a lot of people. A lot of people lost a lot of money, and so I would expect there to be kind of a fear right now with stablecoins, especially if you mention algorithmic stablecoins. I know you don't have a pure algorithmic stablecoin, so if you can explain us a little bit how your stablecoin works.
I think it is important to start from the intended end goal. If someone's end goal is size, clearly you cannot expect a smooth path ahead. Our end goal with the stablecoin, which is called USD 2.0, I also call it USD 2, is to make payments better and faster. So today we're already seeing that some stablecoins are occupying the space of US dollar for international and domestic settlements. A payment settlement is the moment where a payment is final and can't be reverted anymore, and the recipient of the payment has availability of funds without possibility of revocation. So that's a settlement. Okay, the banks want to keep a revocation available for weeks on end after that, but that's another story. Sorry, again, I digress. The point is that our end goal is to make payments better and with instant finality and without having intermediaries that can interrupt, revoke, freeze, and block assets along the way. So we want to have the best of Bitcoin and the best of USDC. To be very clear, there's other aspects of decentralization that have been explored by DAI, by Frax, that introduced governance mechanics that are very interesting and in some cases have proven to work decently well. I mean, I've been following the MakerDAO saga in the last few weeks, and on one hand, it is obvious that you need leadership, and I very much admire Rune for that. But on the other hand, it's great to see that ultimately it boils down to a vote, and you don't even know really who's voting. And so you know some of the players, but you don't know who holds all the tokens, and they'll vote in the best interest of the community and the ultimate users. So we want our USD2 to be the currency that is stable and reliable as USDC when it comes to putting faith in the redeemability and the collateralization. It is well governed and decentralized like DAI, and also is capital efficient and has the ability to stand on its own feet without Goldman Sachs behind it. And that's something that has been pioneered by Frax. So we very much like the Frax reserve token dynamics. And that's where the algorithmic mechanics come into place. We've already said this before, and we're very adamant on keeping our collateralization ratio that we call operational collateral ratio very high. So we want to make sure that the algorithmic part is so low that you can make up for it by means of revenue. So a big treasury yields revenue, and if the treasury is utilized to backstop the missing part of the collateralization due to the collateral ratio, then you can still obtain full redeemability, which means that you still have all the currency in the pocket, in the piggy bank, to re-exchange on redemption every single token holder with an equal amount of pegged currency, initially the dollar.
Makes sense. Okay, thanks for the explanation. Are you, now that we're on this questions of security and safety, do you plan to implement any audits for any of your products in this case?
Yeah, we definitely do. We've actually started talking to multiple auditors. We're getting that process going already. We really want to focus. We're actually thinking about having multiple auditors go after this. Of course, security is absolutely paramount to what we're doing. I mean, like we're talking about with Terra, you really want to have a stablecoin should be stable first and foremost, and it should be secure, and it should be redeemable. And that, I mean, it seems like that is something that's been lost on many people, but we want to start from the ground up with the most solid foundation that we possibly can have. So yeah, it's definitely something that's on the top of our mind right now.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, and UST, I mean, that was the idea, to being stable, but it proved otherwise. And I'm glad that you guys are thinking of safety first for your users and for the whole the Kadena community. And Sergio, you mentioned governance and how that's important to you. So from what I understand, you'll have your own token, Lago, that will be used for that purpose, right? Can you go a little bit into how you plan to implement that governance system with Lago?
Absolutely. Lago has a dual purpose. The first one is governance, and the second one is a reserve token. So it's very similar to the FXS token by Frax. So the Lago tokens are required to mint a USD2 stablecoin in the proportion defined by the operational collateral ratio, which is going to be a very minor part of the single dollar issued. And also the same tokens can be vote locked and held for governance voting. So Matt is our expert in tokenomics. I'll let him elaborate on this.
Yeah, so yeah, we've taken a lot from other major DeFi 2.0 platforms. We're really thinking about trying to create a better way for a vote locking system that includes more parties and is also a better system for making sure that the people who are actually the closest to the stablecoin have the most say. Mostly through the ability of vote locking for different time periods. And the longer you lock, the more of a share that you have for your voting. We really think that this aligns all the incentives for all parties involved and ends up making a much better system moving forward than some of the other ones that you've seen throughout, other stablecoin products. I think that aligning incentives is so important, and it's something that people really miss with tokenomics. If you don't have the right incentive structure in place, especially adverse incentives, where people can come in and they can game how it works, it really creates issues. I mean, one platform we've seen with that is Curve. Really, they created this very interesting huge, product that ended up being like a fire hose of liquidity, but they didn't really put the right controls in place for controlling this fire hose. And so, now, there's been this colloquial curve wars that are happening between all these DAOs. And of course, this is a very interesting thing in seeing how it's played out. But they definitely could have managed it better to where they would have gotten more, how do you say it, control of it on their own end. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of these examples that you can look at to try and build better systems in the future that have more control and that you don't have these adverse incentives for people to try to come and co-opt or parasite off of your product.
Yeah, makes sense. So you've mentioned that the bridge is coming in a matter of days, right? For USDC at least. And can you share a little bit more about your goals in terms of timings for other assets, for the stablecoin, and for the Lago token, maybe?
So I would say we would like to probably have another asset out within the month after. The stablecoin will probably be sometime within maybe end of Q3, beginning of Q4. We'll kind of have to see. We don't like to set ourselves to hard deadlines, but we would like to have the V1 of the stablecoin out as quickly as possible so people can really start getting that use within the Kadena ecosystem. The bridge we built first and foremost for the Kadena ecosystem to help, it just needed stablecoin, and therefore we're bringing USDC. We're going to bring our own USD2. We think that this is really going to help turbocharge Kadena and to help put them on the map and provide, a lot of services to decentralized exchanges like KDSwap. And hope to see in the future that there's a lot more liquidity that's added through that. Usually stablecoin pairs are the highest liquidity pairs. Normally that's where people go because that's where you can get the value. So we're very excited to bring that to Kadena and hopefully to help the ecosystem boom.
I absolutely think that liquidity is what we're missing, and a stablecoin will most definitely help with that, because it's like you said, people want to trade against the dollar. They don't want to trade it against Kadena. They want to keep as many Kadenas as possible, right? So they don't want to trade against that. They want to trade against dollars, and that's exactly what I feel that is lacking in Kadena, so that we have that boom in adoption, so to speak. And
one interesting.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sorry. One interesting metric to look at is also how other decentralized stablecoins or also centralized stablecoins are being circulating through the markets, and I have mixed feelings about liquidity pools and the necessity for them to be of huge size. Again, if your ultimate goal is size, probably there's something wrong ultimately in your plan. We have noticed that some stablecoins, I'm not going to make names now, but anyone can do their own research. It's very available data. Some stablecoins have up to 80% of their total supply locked in liquidity pools, locked for a long time. And that makes you wonder, then what's the utility for those stablecoins if it's just locked there sitting? Is it really solving the problem of payments? Probably not. And so if we want to solve for high velocity in payments and instant finality, having the day I'll see 80% of the USD2 total supply locked in pools left and right, I'll be scratching my head and say, maybe we're not solving that problem really. So that's one consideration. And the other is that stablecoins should be changing hands a lot. And what we want is an efficient market that allows for this to happen through distributed channels. And there's other stablecoins that you can see also, again, with a little bit of research, that instead make it a business for people to on-ramp and off-ramp from their tokens. And again, it in a very centralized manner with bank style utility, hopping on and off a currency, going through somewhere between an OTC and a semi-automated bank desk. I don't think is really what a stablecoin should be striving for, and especially if you see that in a day, most of the transactions in terms of value actually enter and exit the liquidity that way. It means that the token is not solving the problem of payment. It's solving some other problem, which I'm not fully aware of. Probably trying to snatch a little higher yield. And again, that's something that is very close to me. I'm unfortunately, my brain is very small, so I can only think one thing at a time. I'm not multitasking, and as such, I project that inability to think big in our strategy. And I think that a stablecoin should just be a stablecoin. Once you start combining yield generating products, basically lending, together with the stablecoin product all in one. I mean, we've seen it go bad already once, and I think we'll see more of that. But there's something off, frankly. It's not supposed to be like that.
That's something, I mean, you're bringing the stablecoin, but you cannot control how it will be used, right? And I mean, I do understand your concerns, but I think there's a lot of degen still on DeFi, and I think people are attracted to those high APIs.
Yes. What I'm saying is that the stablecoin issuer should focus on issuing stablecoin and keeping it stable and governing it. Some other project will do the lending.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. The separation here is very important. Separation of duties. We've seen even the biggest stablecoins around will just offer products to redeposit the newly minted and bought stablecoin back into their treasury, so they give you yield. I'm like, what's the point? That's not solving the settlement issue. That's a way to park money. So you want to be a bank? Oh, you want to be a bank? Okay, fine. Let's be a bank. Then why do you need a stablecoin? If you want to be a bank, just take the dollars, right? It's everything. Sure, because it's a little easier to lend out a crypto asset than a dollar. But we've also seen how that bubble went, frankly. Now, if you look at the yields coming from stablecoin deposits, like vanilla, actually not much better off than a traditional bank. So yeah, it's two different products.
So you were saying that you believe that you should be separate. So you're bringing the stablecoin, you're not bringing the DeFi protocol, so to speak. So are you keeping that very holistically? So are you not like deploying other products, other DeFi products, not partnering with exchanges or anything? You're just keeping to the simple core of bridge and stablecoin?
Okay, so our roadmap is ambitious, and it may or may not have accessory products and complementary products attached to the main mission in the future. My point is that those products, if and when, should be very separate in governance and mechanics and also consumer understanding from the stablecoin. That's what I'm saying. It has to be designed in a way that there's a hermetic seal between the two products. They can be combined for a good user experience, but it has to be obvious to everyone, including the user and end user, that those are two products and you're just combining them.
Absolutely. So I think the only thing we didn't talk about yet is Kadena itself, right? So you built this protocol, but you could have built it anywhere. You chose Kadena for some reason, I would assume. What was that reason? Can you both give it a little bit of perspective on how you found Kadena and why you decided to build here?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So we know all the major layer ones. We know most of the team. We know their founders. Some personally, some we just know through other people. We really think that Kadena has the best tech. We think it has the best opportunity to actually go to a mass market. The ability to expand out through the braided, chain architecture and be able to just infinitely increase the amount of chains is something that we have not seen before yet in crypto. I mean, most of the projects that are trying to solve something are solving it in the exact same way. Like, let's create a queue system and let's make the block time smaller, and then let's try to shrink the fees. And we've already seen how that is playing out now. Eventually, I mean, like I was saying earlier, with adverse incentives, you have a lot of these parasitic players who are coming in and ruining these systems, and that's what's going to happen. But with how Kadena is doing it, there's a real opportunity here to scale to 100 million people and have them all on different chains, but those chains can talk to each other. So to us, building a stablecoin product that we think is going to bridge decentralized finance and traditional finance, this is so important to us looking out into the future. And we think that, given, and also, I mean, the Kadena team has just been great. I mean, we know most of the team now. They've been extremely helpful. Anytime we have a question, someone's willing to answer it for us. I mean, yeah, we would recommend anybody who's thinking about building on a new layer one that Kadena should be like near the top of their list, especially now. And I think that, we're just starting to see this spring off point. There's so many new projects coming in. There's so much hype that's happening right now. Even just the users of Kadena. I mean, there's so many kind people, and it's such a different area of crypto than you see with the typical degen type who's like upset and like, oh my god, it needs to go up today, why isn't it up 10% right now? The Kadena community and the ecosystem has really been welcoming to us, and we really appreciate that. So I think that Kadena is just overall a great place to build. What about you, Sergio?
Yeah, Sergio, anything to add to that?
I'm fascinated by the potential for proof of work. I think that the hype for proof of stake has been positive in some ways to unlock certain capabilities of blockchains while research and development goes on, but at the same time, it's sacrificing some of the original security tenets that really made Bitcoin what it is today. And so the opportunity to see a layer one bring the aspects of Bitcoin and aspects of scalability all in one is very exciting for me. And again, remember, we want to build a stablecoin that has aspects of Bitcoin and aspects of USDC. So we definitely need a layer one that also supports that technologically, not just in principle.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see. Actually, I can't wait for the amount of chains to scale up, the parallel chains and braided chains to scale up to hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands, because that's also when we will see the energy efficiency really become top standard, and the opportunity for a miner to mine at the same time on all chains is what will really unlock superiority.
Absolutely,
technological choices.
Yeah, and we're just missing the bridge and the stablecoin for that. Then everyone will come marching into Kadena. No, I'm kidding, but I think it will be a very important step in that direction. And I would like to thank you, both of you, for building on Kadena and accepting my invite to talk a little bit about your project. If you have anything else to share, anything you want to add, just let me know.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Lago Finance. On top of our website, you'll see a link to the careers page. It's a simple form where you can drop your information. We may not come back to you right away, but by the end of the month, we'll start organizing ourselves for the recruitment phase. Thanks for having us here, Afonso.
All of that will be added on the description below. Sorry, I cut you off, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, just follow. Yeah, Twitter at Matt Lago Finance, Discord at Matt Lake. So just join us on Discord too. That'd be great. We're really trying to build a community and have the people of Kadena know exactly what we're doing, and so that's the best way that you can find information about us on Discord and Twitter.
Absolutely, we'll add all of those social links on the bottom, and that's it for today. Thanks again for both of you, and see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.